Welcome back to Reds Fusion LFC. Today we've got huge updates. Newcastle's Alexander Isak saga takes a shocking twist, Arne Slot breaks his silence on Liverpool's transfer plans, and Marc Guehi's 35-meter move is causing a major fan divide. Plus, Darwin Núñez's reaction to Salah will melt your heart. Don't forget to like, comment your thoughts, and subscribe for all the latest Liverpool news. Newcastle given two drastic options to end Alexander Isak and Liverpool transfer. Saga Alexander Isak's future is no closer to being resolved as the one-away forward continues to train away from his Newcastle teammates after Liverpool's interest in signing him. Newcastle United have just two options to resolve their standoff with one-away striker Alexander Isak: sell up or force him to play in the reserves. Former manager Sam Allardyce believes the club have been left in a difficult position by the Swedish forward. Isak is not currently training with the first-team squad and has said he will not play for the Toon Army again, regardless of the outcome of the transfer window. But there has been little progress over any move after Newcastle initially expressed that their star forward was not for sale. Liverpool saw a $110 million bid immediately knocked back earlier this month and currently do not seem set to make another offer unless encouraged to do. Newcastle have not signed a forward to replace Isak yet, however. The Magpies are in the market for Yoane Wissa, who is not training with Brentford currently, but that appears to be a target eyed separately from Isak's situation. Newcastle saw Callum Wilson depart at the end of his contract earlier in the summer, and the northeast-based side have few good options remaining in how to settle the conflict with Isak. The striker, who has 62 goals in 109 appearances for Newcastle, has 3 years remaining on his contract, and Allardyce believes it would take strength from the club's board to not sell their prized asset. Sell him. I'd sell him. I'd go for the best price, he told TalkSport. Once a player makes his mind up, as determined as he is, and because there's nothing else you can do role-wise. I suppose if he stays away, the only thing you do is don't pay him, but that obviously becomes a situation where nobody wins. Allardyce continued. Unless the board are strong enough to say, let him rot, Sam, we'll go and buy you another center forward, which is the best way to deal with it in my opinion. Somebody has to stand up to a player or players that are going to start doing this on a regular basis where they've got contracts, in Isak's case, a particularly long contract of 3 years. Then the owners are obviously looking not to devalue him. But at the end of the day, if you want to stand up and be counted, put a shock across the players across the Premier League saying, you can't treat your clubs like this after you've dedicated yourself to a contract. I heard what Arne Slot said on Liverpool transfers. Alexander Isak and Marc Guehi's stance could change. Theo Squires was in attendance at Arne Slot's press conference to preview Liverpool. Arne Slot is nothing if not consistent. Once again, all the talk ahead of the Dutchman's latest pre-match press conference was transfer-dominated as Liverpool's record-breaking window continues. Ahead of the Community Shield, Alexander Isak was inevitably the name on everyone's lips as Slot was quizzed about the Reds' interest in Newcastle United's want-away striker for the first time, a week after Liverpool had seen an 110-minute bid rejected by the Magpies. His response was inevitably obvious. As you know from me, and I think every manager works like this, you never talk about players that are not yours, he said of the Swede. I can talk about Hugo Ekitike, who we have signed and done really well until now. Fast forward a week and it was a case of déjà vu at the AXA training center, though this time the Reds' recruitment at center-back had overtaken Isak as the leading topic of choice. Only a couple of hours before Slot sat down for his latest media briefing, it emerged that Giovanni Leone was set to travel to Merseyside to undergo a medical after Liverpool had agreed an initial 26 million deal with Parma for the Italian teenager on Wednesday evening. Meanwhile, the Reds opened talks with Crystal Palace at the start of the week over a possible move for Eagles captain Marc Guehi. As was the case with Isak, Slot had little to say when it came to the England international. But with Leone set to become Liverpool's 9th signing of the summer, he was a little bit more forthcoming on the Italian, as he confirmed a deal was agreed with Parma before. promising to be more loose-lipped once the deal is officially complete. I can tell you that the clubs have agreed a deal, but he hasn't signed for us yet, he said of the Italian. The moment when he signs for us, I can go into more detail. And the other one, Guehi, is of course the answer you always get from me. No, I cannot go into more detail, because he is not our player and unfortunately he was the captain of the team where we lost against last Sunday. No, if you want to have any talks about him, you should go to Palace, to Oliver Glasner, and ask him his opinion about him. Slot would later prove such a point when waxing lyrical about two of his summer signings. Sky Germany were in attendance at the AXA to quiz the Dutchman on club record signing Florian Wirtz with the German, who registered an assist on his Liverpool debut at Wembley, set to make his maiden Premier League appearance against Bournemouth in Friday's season opener. Arne Slot responds to Marc Guehi transfer question as Liverpool medical set after 26 minutes. Deal Liverpool are set to sign Giovanni Leone, but Arne Slot would not be drawn on links to Marc Guehi at Crystal Palace. Arne Slot refused to be drawn on Liverpool's interest in Crystal Palace captain Marc Guehi after confirming the club had agreed a deal with Parma to sign Giovanni Leone. The Reds have agreed an initial 26 million fee plus add-ons with the Serie A outfit to sign the teenage centre-back. The 18-year-old has been given permission to travel to Liverpool to undergo a medical after an agreement was reached with Parma on Wednesday evening. The Reds saw off competition from a number of elite Italian clubs and Premier League sides, with the teenager adamant that he wanted to move to Anfield. Leone will now bolster Liverpool's options at centre-back ahead of the new season, with the centre-back set to immediately join Slot's first-team setup for the campaign. Any suggestion of a loan exit has been completely ruled out. After selling Jarell Quansah to Bayer Leverkusen in a deal worth up to 35 million, Slot was left with only Virgil van Dijk, Ibrahima Konate, and Joe Gomez as his senior options at the heart of defense. However, Van Dijk missed the Reds' 2 friendlies with Athletic Bilbao through illness, while Gomez has missed the majority of pre-season with a minor Achilles issue. Meanwhile, Konate's future continues to be the subject of speculation ahead of his contract expiring next summer. While Liverpool are closing in on the signing of Leone, they also opened talks with Crystal Palace over a possible move for Guehi earlier in the week. But Slot gave little away about the Reds' move for the 2 centre-backs when quizzed about Liverpool's latest transfer movement ahead of their Premier League opener at home to AFC Bournemouth. I can tell you that the clubs have agreed a deal, but he hasn't signed for us yet, Slot said of Leone at his pre-match press conference. The moment when he signs for us, I can go into more detail. And the other one, Guehi, is of course the answer you always get from me. No, I cannot go into more detail, because he is not our player, and unfortunately he was the captain of the team where we lost against last Sunday. No, if you want to have any talks about him, you should go to Palace, to Oliver Glasner, and ask him his opinion about him. Meanwhile, Slot confirmed that Gomez could return to the matchday squad against Bournemouth after returning to training this week, but admitted he has a decision to make after the England international's disrupted pre-season schedule. Joe, I have to make a decision on that, he said. I think he only trained twice now, missed quite a lot in pre-season. But if you look at our bench against Palace, I think there were 3 players who were 20 years or younger. There is a possibility that Joe is on the bench, but I have to look at the answers and who we're going to take. Marc Guehi gets Liverpool transfer warning with 35-meter move, causing divide. Liverpool have attempted to sign Crystal Palace skipper Marc Guehi this summer, but former Arsenal forward Ian Wright feels it wouldn't be the right time to move to Anfield for the England ace. Ian Wright has urged Crystal Palace defender Marc Guehi to snub any further advances from Liverpool this summer to protect his chances of representing England in the 2026 World Cup. Despite having held discussions with the current Premier League champions, it's understood that there's a gap in valuations between the 2 clubs. Football can be unpredictable, and a move is still possible this month. but Palace manager Oliver Glasner is reluctant to let his Community Shield-winning captain depart as the new season begins this weekend. The 25-year-old looks more likely to now leave on a free transfer next summer, should he not renew his contract, giving Liverpool the opportunity to wait and sign him without having to pay a fee. Liverpool currently have a few options at centre-back, including Virgil van Dijk, Joe Gomez, and Ibrahima Konate. However, with Jarell Quansah now at Bayer Leverkusen, Arne Slot is looking for another addition to the defense. Fortunately for the Reds, they have just finalized a $26 million deal with Italian side Parma for 18-year-old center-back Giovanni Leoni. A medical has been scheduled, potentially putting an end to any late summer move for Guehi, much to Wright's apparent satisfaction. Guehi remains on their radar, though, and could potentially be secured on a reduced fee before the transfer window closes or as a free agent next summer. Speaking on the Overlaps Stick to Football podcast, the former Arsenal striker insists the 25-year-old should remain in South London for another campaign. Wright said, "If you look at someone like Guehi Wright, why would you leave now? It's a World Cup year. You don't want to go somewhere you might not play because Konate's still there, isn't he?" Fellow pundits Gary Neville and Roy Keane suggested that Guehi's mentality would likely focus on securing a starting position with the Reds. But Wright countered by adding, "Will he start if Konate is there? Will he start?" Liverpool icon Jamie Carragher offered his perspective, suggesting that Guehi could arrive at Anfield and challenge Konate for the starting spot, given his credentials as an international performer and Palace success story. The ex-Reds defender said, "I think the fact that he, Konate, is injury-prone and the fact he hasn't signed as well. The longer he doesn't sign, I think the more the manager will say, if you're not committed, you're not playing." Liverpool fans told Alexander Isak transfer outcome. He's going. Liverpool fans are eager to see what happens with Alexander Isak in the final 2 weeks of the transfer window, and one observer has told them what they want to hear. Liverpool continues to maintain an interest in Alexander Isak, but with Newcastle disinclined to sell, the situation currently remains deadlocked. There's every chance it stays that way, with Eddie Howe's side able to fall back on the 3 years still left to run on Isak's contract. But lingering suspicions remain that there will be more twists to come in the saga before the end of the window. After all, while Liverpool has already signed Hugo Ekitike, it has also sold Darwin Nunez and Luis Diaz, and while it feels crude to mention in the context of transfer plans, it also lost Diogo Jota in tragic circumstances. Even if Isak does prove unattainable, there's a case to be made that Liverpool will need to pivot to another target in what's left of the transfer window. Perhaps the lack of major alternative links suggests that the Reds believe a deal for the Swede may still arrive on the table. Sam Allardyce thinks that will be the case. He believes that the power remains with Isak's camp, in spite of the ample time remaining on his contract. It's a 3-year contract he's still got left, Allardyce told the Footy Accumulators. No tippy-tappy football podcast in partnership with Boyle Sports. If he only had 1 year left, Liverpool wouldn't be offering what they're offering. The value of the player is not only in his football, but also in the length of his contract. If you let him get to the last year, you've wasted your time. I don't like saying it, but it's true there's too much power on the player and the agent's side. That's what's caused all this. It's hard to follow exactly what Allardyce is getting at. The situation would indeed be very different if Isak was into the final year of his contract, but with that not being the case, the power would at least appear to lie with Newcastle. But those within the game often seem to be of the opinion that player power always wins. Harry Redknapp said much the same about Isak recently. Allardyce warned that owners are typically not brave enough to let players sit there and rot. Speaking on the same podcast, former Sheffield Wednesday coach Chris Powell went even further, declaring the transfer effectively a done deal. "I think Isak's going to Liverpool," Powell said. "For him to do that and express his desire to leave, he's going. They're not going to keep him and tell him he's in the reserves. You can't do that anymore. Those days are over. He's Going to Liverpool, and if Liverpool gets him, that's it. The league is over. Darwin Nunez shows true colors with Mohamed Salah response after Liverpool transfer confirmed. Latest Liverpool transfer news as Darwin Nunez responded to an emotional farewell message from Mohamed Salah following his move to Saudi Arabia. Former Liverpool striker Darwin Nunez has responded to Mohamed Salah's emotional farewell after his move to Al Hilal was completed last weekend. The Uruguayan officially departed the Reds on Saturday after an agreement was reached with the Saudi Pro League side to sign the Premier League winning striker. Nunez joined the list of high-profile summer exits from Anfield, following fellow South American Luis Diaz out of the door with Callum Kelleher and Jarell Quansah also departing. The 26-year-old's move left Liverpool with limited options in their strike force for the Community Shield against Crystal Palace. The forward made a goal-scoring start to his career with the Saudi club during their 6-0 win over Austrian second. Division side Arne Slot, meanwhile, took to social media to express his gratitude and best wishes to the departing forward. He wrote in an Instagram post, "I consider myself lucky to have had you as a teammate and friend. You were always very real and brought so much good energy wherever you went. You made us laugh and showed heart in everything you did. You will be missed, and I wish you the best in your new club." The post received over 600,000 likes, and Nunez issued a response to his former teammate. He replied, "Brother, thank you for everything. You've been an amazing person to me since the moment I arrived at Liverpool. I'm gonna miss you." Ahead of the Premier League opener against Bournemouth on Friday, Nunez appeared to be back on Merseyside and called into the AXA training center for a final farewell with all his teammates as they prepare to face Bournemouth. Captain Virgil van Dijk posted a landscape picture to his Instagram story showing all the players huddled and smiling with the departed forward.